We have the debt ceiling that has to be dealt with. We have a continuing resolution maybe to keep government employees working, and these all happens at the end of December. So those are kind of big.
And that little tiny presidential election.
In the little tiny presidential election. But when you put fibs up like this and you're looking at a longer term point of view, do you care that much about the news? Joining us live today, the Fibonacci Princess, aka Trader Tammy. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today, Jim?
We've been talking markets all morning long. We had Traders Club this morning, and love to get your take on some of these key futures markets that we've been looking at.
Awesome. Sounds great.
So you got even the S&P up on the screen right now?
Yes, that is correct. We're still looking for the targets from that 5th of August low. The first target off of that. So let me get some crosshairs here so you can see what I'm talking about. The targets always line up with whatever low they are from. And, another thing I can do is use this blue line right here. That is where you see the targets. Target 1 is 59.52 and the second target is 61.65. But something that's great about my work and that I do and that I love looking at, and this is why people would love, need to use Fibonacci as part of their trading tool, is even if someone missed that initial entry off that 200 SMA on the 5th of August, there's a lot more opportunities on the way up to get bullish. That is one of the reasons why Fibonacci work is such a great thing. Now at this point, once we get to that 59.52 area, I'm going to start getting a little bit more shy about getting bullish because we will be super extended. As long as all the moving averages stay on the side of the bulls, I'm going to still keep setting up the pullbacks until they don't work anymore.
Okay, so every time these pullbacks come back, that's another opportunity to get long.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, so at what point in time would you adjust your Fib analysis, right? I think you're starting this one on August 5th, is that right?
Yes. So, every time it has a pullback, I look for another entry, or I should say I set another entry up for my clients. And using Fibonacci work, that is something that you can also do for yourself. But when it gets extended, I basically just say, I'm not saying don't buy it anymore. What I'm saying is don't buy right at it, okay? Look for a previous pullback that's similar to some of the other pullbacks that we've had. That's why we call it symmetry. Now, some of these are huge, right? That pullback from the 16th of July to the 5th of August, we did have support on a continuous chart, but of course the data starts getting a little bit broken on these contract charts. As you can see back here, I heard you talking about broken data earlier on something that you were looking at, and that happens too. And whenever I've got too much broken data, I can't use the work that's too far back. But I did go to a continuous chart and was able to find symmetry from that. Plus it was a 786 retracement, plus the 200 simple, which when it bounces off the 50 simple or the 200 simple, those are basically a rule of mine when it comes to trading. What I'm saying is I don't want you buying right at the top. I don't want you looking at a 10 or a 30-minute chart and going, hey, I'm going to buy. And if you know what you're doing, you can set some stops and you can get in and out real fast. That's fine. But if you're the type to get up and go get a cup of coffee and then go work in your garden for an hour, please don't do that when it's extended. Because usually when we get extended is when we see those really big pullbacks. You can see that last time we were really extended here. This is that huge swing back here. We met both the targets on the upside and finally got up to that 16th of July point and had that really pretty massive pullback.
So at what point, though, if there was a big trend reversal, what point would the targets then be lower, right? In other words, we're getting short, we're going for a target on the sell side.
Yeah, well, that's when I use a retracement projection, okay, as extension is what you can call it. Say right now that the high is in place from the 17th of October. And I wanted to say, okay, I'm going to short off of those price extensions that are going in around 59.37 to maybe 52 or so. I would go that low to this high. And the extensions from that short, if that 17th of October high was in place, would be 58.28 and 58.02. It just depends on which you're talking about, right? Because the extensions from the 2nd of October low to the more recent high are all the way down here at 56.68 and 55.98. So it depends on what swings we're looking at as to where the extensions are going to be, of course.
Okay, that makes sense. Looking forward here for the end of the calendar year, we have an election coming up. We have the debt ceiling that has to be dealt with. We have a continuing resolution maybe to keep government employees working, and these all happens at the end of December. So those are kind of big.
And that little tiny presidential election.
In the little tiny presidential election. But when you put fibs up like this and you're looking at a longer term point of view, do you care that much about the news?
Personally, what I have learned is to try to just pay attention to what the charts are telling you, because even if you get a big movement off of news, it seems to be short-lived. It depends on the news, right? When COVID happened, that was a huge rollover, and that took us a little while to recover from. But listen, we made a lot of money during COVID.
But
The swings were nice.
COVID's a lifestyle change. The whole world had a major lifestyle change right then and there. A presidential election, depending on who wins Senate and Congress, it's gonna be like, oh, probably business as usual.
I don't know. Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see without getting in political.
I got you. All right, let's pivot. Could you pull up a gold chart?
Sure. We did have that low on the 10th of October, and you were talking about extensions earlier. We actually bounced off of an extension from that 30th of September low to the 1st of October high. We had that extension. What I say is many moves tend to terminate at extensions of prior swings. That was an extension of a prior swing. We held and continued that move up. We've met the first target at 27.33. Yesterday, I made a symmetrical projection for my clients. What that means is I look at a previous swing in the market and say, we could stop here next. That was from this low to this high.
So that's kind of like a measured move, right? You're taking that line and you're kind of measuring it.
That's exactly what symmetry is a measured move. And we did stop there at 27.55, and we really haven't been able to bust it yet. But it looks like we're wanting to. That's why I go down to these 30-minute charts. So this is my gold 30. And this morning had this set up at 7 a.m. We hit and held a 382 retracement along with symmetry. And I've met that first target on the upside at 27.56. Second one's 27.59. But this is why I say look at different time frames, because it looks like to me we're trying to push through. Once we do that, we get a little pullback on the 30-minute chart, which is also bullish, in order to enter a trade to continue this move up to that second target at 27.64. So a really great opportunity to be able to scalp.
I got it. So this is on a daily chart. You also have targets on a 30-minute. Does that reflect just kind of the different type of trade, swing trade versus position trade versus day trade?
Yeah, absolutely. No matter what you're trading, I encourage people to look at different time frames, because when I have a setup like on gold daily, the 5 had crossed below the 13, which to me is a sign that we could make a deeper downside correction, but we were still above the 200 and the 50 simples. So what I told my clients is we're bouncing, but I want you to pay attention to what's going on the 30-minute chart, because at the time the 30-minute chart had crossed over to the side of the bears. I wanted them to pay attention to what the resistance was on that 30, make sure we can clear it before we're basically out of those little rough waters on the 30-minute chart.
The moving averages that I'm seeing there, those are, what are the numbers again? For
the intraday charts that I run, they're 8 and 34. The blue is an 8 and the red is a 34.
Both fib numbers, by the way.
Yes, they're exponential. On the daily, though, we use 5 and 13 exponential, and then we use 50 and 200 simple.
Makes sense.
I was going to tell you, I do have information on the euro. I know y'all were talking about that earlier, but do you want me to show you what I've got? Let me show you what I've got. We actually fell off of this 382 yesterday, and that was a sign to me. When I saw that immediately falling off that 382, I said, this thing definitely wants to make a deeper downside correction. When I see something fail off of a 236 or 382 retracement, it is a very clear sign to me. I've watched it for years and years and years now. Something else about the euro, it's below the 200, which is the pink dotted line. It's below the 50, which is the green line, and the 5 and the 13 are on a sell. So this is a complete bearish chart. However, I do have some price symmetry that we're coming into that I think is really, really interesting to look at. Back here, we have this huge swing. So I take that and then I project it from the more recent high on the 23rd of August, and it gives me this symmetry that you see here at 1.08115. Those moves are exactly alike. So I really do like that for the side of the bulls. In addition, I have quite a few smaller symmetrical swings that are very similar to this current swing that we are in. This swing is similar to this swing. There's just a bunch of them. This one, they all kind of line up and they correlate with the second extension off of that more recent low to high, which is very similar to something that you saw on that gold chart. So anywhere from 1.07980 to 1.04. And you could obviously couple that with the prices above it to have you a nice little setup zone there if you're looking to get bullish on the euro.
So do we take a look at NASDAQ yet or no?
I don't think we did. No. Here is the NASDAQ futures chart. Now, it looks much different than the ES because the NASDAQ targets are way up here from that 5th of August low, 22,239 and 23,514. Right now, we're still even looking for the smaller swing targets from the 6th of September low. We've got just a lot of little swings inside the swings, and you can kind of see where I set them all back up. I mean, that's what I do. I say, okay, here's a pullback, but we've made a higher high, right? So when we make that higher high, I have to set up the pullback again, even though the targets are still good from a previous swing, as long as we keep that low.
So are tighter targets indicative of a condition of the market or no?
For me, it is. I mean, when I start kind of seeing things are a little sideways, I start kind of scratching my head, seeing that maybe we're looking for some sort of decision to be made here. Consolidation means we're either get ready to rip higher or rip lower.
Got it. Awesome. So Tammy, thanks for being here with us today. Looking forward to the next time we're together. Have a great day.
Thank you, Jim. Great seeing you again. Thank you for having me on.
This presentation is for educational purposes only. All of the symbols, trading ideas, and live trading are for demonstrational purposes and are not recommendations or trading advice. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All of the information and opinions expressed by third-party guests are their own and are not necessarily those of NinjaTrader, LLC. Trading futures involves substantial risk and may not be suitable for everyone, and trading futures can result in losses greater than the initial required margin. Traders should only trade futures with risk capital. Risk capital is money that you can afford to lose without jeopardizing your financial security or current lifestyle. You can find additional disclosure information on the NinjaTrader website.